Hey y'all, welcome back to Mask Hikes. Got a special one today. The big announcement. This is crazy. Guess once this video's over, it's all for real. No going back, huh? Yeah, that'll make you anxious. I am at the Preparation Canyon unit of the Loess Hills State Forest near Pisgah, Iowa. Been here a couple times. Matter of fact, earlier this year I was here for a day hike that had some lack of water issues. You know what? That wasn't a day hike. It was an overnighter. It was cut short because I ran out of water. However, that was in a different section of the forest, and I am literally, I don't know if you can see it through the trees down there. I'm camping next to a pond tonight. I'm not playing around. It's mid-afternoon, late afternoon. It's probably about 4:15, and it is October, so almost November. So sun's going down shortly, but I want to get a few miles in before I decide to set up camp. It was about 57 degrees when I got out of the van. Supposed to get down to low 30s tonight. This is for real. I have got my winter kit on, so this is a full-blown shakedown to see temperature-wise how the Cedar Ridge is going to hold up, if I'm sticking with the Thermarest Neo Air or if I'm going to go with the Z-Lite accordion pad. I mean, we're getting down to the wire, and you'll understand that statement by the end of this video too. So like I said, gonna do some hiking, spend the night, hopefully not freeze our caboose off, spread some news, have a good time. Let's get some hiking done. Alright, let's talk gear. Because, well, to be honest, what kind of hiker doesn't like to talk about gear? My kit right now on my back with 2 liters of water, which they say averages about 2 pounds a piece, and then a day's worth of food, which they also say averages about 2 pounds. What I've got on my back right now is 22 pounds. Just over 22 pounds. So if you take away the 4 pounds worth of water and the 2 pounds worth of food, that puts my winter base weight right around 16 pounds. Not exactly ultra light, but definitely light. Better than I was expecting, worse than I was hoping. But there's a few tweaks I think I can make, and then I can save a few ounces when I switch to summer weights on the quilt and sleeping pad. But at the moment, 16 pounds is sufficient, I guess. I don't feel like I've got the world on my back, but then again, I've only gone a couple of miles. So, I guess we'll have to see how that all plays out. So in the early 1900s, a genius plan was hatched by a guy you may or may not have heard of. His name was Benton MacKaye. He had this crazy idea to develop a continuous footpath that spanned a pretty long distance, but in his vision it was actually supposed to be kind of utilized in chunks. It was supposed to be for people to get back to nature and get back to their roots and this and that. And then some years later, a gentleman, a war vet named Earl Schaffer, came home and was battling his demons, battling PTSD. And he decided that he was going to do what has become known as a through hike. Now, there's debates about whether or not Earl was the first guy that actually did it or not. But Earl set out and completed a through hike of Benton MacKay's brainchild. That trail has varied in length over the years depending on trail changes and everything else, but currently it is one of the world's longest continuously marked footpaths. Currently 2,192 miles, spans 14 states, starts at Springer Mountain in Georgia and ends at Katahdin in Maine.
Woo lordy! And I only got upper 30s last night, but it still was a little chilly. Good night though. Gear held up. Never got cold. A little chilly right now, standing out here in the little breezy spot. But man, Cedar Ridge was awesome. Actually managed to get the NeoAir to cooperate. Didn't have any issues falling off that. About done breaking camp, just having some breakfast. Well, getting ready to have some breakfast. I got some oatmeal warming up. I'm sure it's pretty obvious at this point. But I'm gonna drag it out a little bit longer. I'm gonna hike a little bit, make the announcement, tell a little bit about why, and get ready to have one hell of an interesting year.
For those of you that know me or have even been following the channel for a little bit of time, this is probably going to seem like a bit of a foregone conclusion, but I haven't ever actually said it out loud other than on a few Facebook groups and to a couple of close family members. But here we go. This is my official declaration. I don't know why we do this, but hey, whatever. I'm game. This is my official declaration that I will be joining the class of 2020 Appalachian Trail through hikers. As I mentioned, the trail currently is 2,192 miles. Runs from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Katahdin, Baxter Peak, or Baxter State Park in Maine. Its average time is 150 days. My goal is 5 months. At 5 months, if I stop every 2 weeks and take a 0 day, which is basically what we call a day off, I'll have to average 18 miles a day to make my goal. My start date is March 14th, 2020. That's the day I want to officially be leaving Springer Mountain. My goal is to be back home by Mason's birthday on August 3rd. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Out of the typically around 5,000 people that start a through hike every year, only somewhere in the neighborhood of 25% actually complete it. I get off from injury, sickness, weather throws people off, and honestly just getting out there and finding out that the trail wasn't what you wanted. I'm gonna do everything in my power to be one of those 25%. So obviously there's a few questions about that. First and foremost, how on God's green earth can I walk away from life for 5 or 6 months? Because that's, even though that's not how I see it, that's how a lot of people that have never considered a through hike view it. And logistically, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's not that difficult. It's just a matter of saving enough money to be able to take care of what you need to take care of. I traded in my pickup almost a year ago, got rid of a car payment. I've been driving a minivan. That was step one. If I was willing to get rid of my truck, that was kind of a see how serious I am kind of a thing. I've been saving money. You know, logistics are logistics. There's ways to solve logistics. That's all there is to it. The emotional part, the personal part, is a completely different story. And that's really where the why comes in. It'd be easy to sit back and dumb it down and say this moment right here, sure it's cloudy, it's a little chilly, but these views, this experience, this is the why. It'd be easy to use that. Because anybody that loves the outdoors could understand it. But this right here, it's only maybe a quarter of the trail. The rest of it is what we call the green tunnel. It's just walking in the woods, staring at leaves. So the why, if that's your why, the views are not going to sustain it. Don't worry, there's incredible views. The ponies on Grayson Highlands, McAfee Knob, standing on top of Mount Washington in a breeze. There's views, but that can't be the reason. Not the only one anyway. Some of you probably watched my 30-second challenge video. It was a challenge put out by some of my classmates, Camper 2020 and his trail family. You're supposed to spend no more than 30 seconds explaining your reason for wanting to hike the Appalachian Trail. And man, that is, like I mentioned there, that's the elevator speech. It doesn't get any more concise than that. And it really doesn't do the reasons justice. I'm 42 years old. In a few weeks I'll actually be turning 43. I recently finished getting a bachelor's degree after 25 years of trying. I've been working in the horticulture industry for over 20 years in all kinds of different positions. I've been a production manager, I've been a landscape designer, I've been a crew foreman, I've been a salesman. I love that, but I don't know. I just don't know. My degree is in sustainability management, and that is a topic for a whole different YouTube video, trying to explain what sustainability management is. I will say, however, though, that in Omaha, Nebraska, sustainability management is about like having a degree in underwater basket weaving. So I'm at a crossroads there as far as what I want to do professionally. Do I want to stay with the company I've been with for several years now? For that matter, if I leave for 5 or 6 months, would they even have me back? That makes the decision there somewhat more interesting. But professionally, I'm just not sure where I'm at or where I'm going. And I kind of hope that through taking a sabbatical, I can figure out my purpose, figure out my direction, and maybe find some joy again. Like I said on my 30-second challenge video, and maybe this Appalachian Trail is my version of the midlife crisis. It's my Corvette. I would never have an affair. I love my wife. I love my family. People are going to ask, well, how can you say that and then leave them for 6 months? It's tough to explain. How do you stand here and say you love your wife, you love your family, but then in the next breath say you're going to leave them for 5 or 6 months? I had somebody say to me, you know, it'd be different if you were still in the military and this was a deployment and you had no control over it, but you're actively choosing to leave your family. And they're right. That's absolutely correct. And I couldn't do this if I didn't think that my wife understood and was supportive of it. My wife and I have been together 19 years. We've got 2 biological kids, 2 adopted kids, and at any given moment, a various number of foster children. We've been foster parents for almost 12 years now. And to be totally honest, I lost count how many kids we've had in our home. As a dad and as a husband, I feel like I've completely lost my way. I have no idea where I'm going. I have no idea what I'm doing. And everybody out there is going to sit there and go, well, neither do I, and that's no excuse to leave. I'm not leaving. I'm reevaluating. If I was leaving, I'd be going to an attorney, not to a trail. I'm not reevaluating my relationships. I'm reevaluating myself. Let's take a step back further. Around 2 years ago, I weighed over 265 pounds. I was somewhere around 165 right now. At one point, I was down to 145. Everybody told me I was getting too skinny, so I kind of backed off a little bit. Anyway, point of the story is, somewhere in the middle of that weight loss journey, things got real. I've got a nephew that is a year older than I am. And last October, he died from a heart attack and complications surrounding that. And that was a wake-up call, because physically we weren't in all that different shape. He's a year older than I am. That was tough. That was tough. A week ago, I spent a week and nights at the hospital with my dad. I had to have double bypass. I was eaten myself into an early grave. And I'm not going to get into that any more than that. You want to know more about that, go watch my The One About Why video. But the point is that after Frankie passed away, I did the only thing that I know how to do to correct the situation, and that's go big or go home. Maybe that's the dumb jarhead in me, eating crayons, I don't know what. But I kind of went on a crash diet. I'm sure many doctors would have told me that what I did wasn't healthy, but it was the way that I knew how to do it, and I was going to get it accomplished, and there'd be no fooling around. Okay, so flashback forward to now. I'm one of those guys that thinks they have to be in control of every situation. Whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. I'm a take charge guy. I'd like to believe I'm not bossy, but my wife might disagree with that. My kids too. The fact of the matter is that nobody has control. Nobody ever had control. I mean, it's like that line from Jurassic Park. That's the illusion. The illusion of control. And I get that. The problem is I can't convince my mind of that. And I guess in some way, shape, or form, I believe that by walking 2,000 miles, it's my crash course. It's my, look, you don't have control. The only thing you can do is keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep walking north. You don't control the weather. You don't control the views. You may not even be able to control the food or the water. And if I can survive that and come out the other end, then I hope I weigh 145 pounds again. And I mean that figuratively, not literally. I hope that I've reached the end goal of realizing I can't control when my son's going to have a meltdown, or whether my foster daughter is going to turn in her homework or even bring it home. There's no control. Can't control my family any more than I can control this trail. And it's easy to keep hiking and say that right now until I get home tonight and my daughter's freaking out. And the only thing I should be able to control is my behavior, but I think I controlled the whole situation, and that's just ridiculous. Well, this got way deeper than I intended it to. The reality is, it's all malarkey. The only reason I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail is so I can eat all the Chinese buffet I want to. Yeah, well, I'm sure this is already a ridiculously long video, and I'm sure I'll go into more detail as I'm working on my other shakedowns, and once I'm on the trail and get all the sappy emotional crap, which is interesting for me because I don't do emotional. Ask my wife. Yeah, well, let's do some hiking. No idea if I'm even in the frame or not, but I had to lighten the mood, man. It was getting awful touchy-feely for me there. Trying out the new Trek and Pole selfie stick, baby. How's it look? are the views. Woohoo! 360-degree views. Oh my gosh. I love hiking. So let me say something before the comments start rolling in, which they will regardless, I'm sure. But I'm going to put this out here anyway. First of all, let me say that I'm incredibly aware just how selfish this all is. I get that. However, I feel like it's something that I have to do. Secondly, and more importantly, I'm pretty confident that my wife gets it too. And yes, I'm fully aware that my wife is a saint. And yes, I get that you would never let your husband do that. That's fine. That's your life. I hope that my wife Amy knows that I love her. I try and show her. I know I don't do the best job. I know I don't put it out there enough. But I'm pretty confident that she gets it. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. And for all the comments that are coming, that's really all that matters. Okay, so the truth is, it's not even about the Chinese buffets. The real reason is, I just needed an excuse for my wife to let me keep the beard a little bit longer. That's really all it comes down to. I'll tell you what though, what it really is an invitation. It's an invitation for y'all to join me on this journey of discovery. I'm trying to channel my best James Cameron there. I'll be vlogging the whole thing. Try to have more trail time and less face time than I did today. Today just had a lot to get out. This weekend, I guess. But I'm excited. I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. I'd love to answer them. I'll have a bunch of videos coming out about how I'm going to survive for 5 or 6 months in the woods with nothing but what you see in front of you right now. It's going to be interesting. I hope I make it. I believe I'll make it. I believe I'm capable. Hope you'll join me. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. If you really want to know when new videos come out, click that little bell and you'll get notifications. Man, I wish you were here.